Hi there, my name is Askari, continuing our SDL series. In this episode, I'm going to transfer our game to object-oriented approach. This may look overwhelming at first, and you will think that this is too much work for nothing, but in reality, you are saving hours of time and headaches. When your code will become 1,000 line long, then you will realize the importance of OOP. So let's dive in. First step is to understand the relationship between all the classes. So we have a game loop class, and our game loop or simply game may have objects in it. For example, our player is an object, obstacles which we'll add later, and such. For that, we will create an abstract class named object, which will be our base class for two classes, player and background. So to simplify stuff, our game has a player and a background. This is known as hazard relationship, and relationship between object and player and background is simply inheritance. So both of the classes are simply inheriting from parent object class. So that was all theory, but how do we put this into our code? For that, we will make an object class, and in our object class there will be some private attributes. For example, every object will have a texture and some dimensions. For dimensions we will use SDL rectangle. Also, our object should be renderable, so we will add a pure virtual function to it, which will make this class abstract, of course, and which we will override in drive classes. We will also create a texture function because we cannot directly access texture variables. So we have to make a public function through which we can access our texture variable. And that's all for object class. Now we will create a drive class named player. Our player class will have a render function just like object, but in this we will define the function. So for now, let's change the object. I realized to use our object class variables, I have to make some setters and getters. So I will make some getter for texture and rectangles. After that, we will make setter for SDL rectangle. This way we will be able to input position wherever we want to display our player model, because it's a structure and we cannot directly access SDL rectangles, so we have to make a function. Once this is done, now it's time to implement all the changes we have just made and remove all the previous calls and include the newer one we just made. So for that, let's include our player class in our game loop class. This way we will be able to make instance of our player and replace all the functions with the new one. That's all we have to do here, and maybe I'll try hit and run. Ah, this is not working. Something's off. I figured out the problem. I had included my libraries in a circular way, so somehow our player class was being initialized before our object class. So that's why our code was not working. So problem seems to be that our texture manager class was also including our player class. This way it was being included before the object class. So I fixed it and my code started working. So next task is to create a background class which will also inherit from our object class. This class will also contain the render function, but we will overload it because we do not need SDL rectangle as arguments. We can pass nulls. Similarly, as the player class, we will create an instance, and for that we will include our background class background.h and replace all the function calls with a new one. So now we hit run, and our bird and the background are both showing up, which is great. So that was it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.